Welcome back, everybody. Matt the Bat here. So, you know, one of the podcasts I listened to, someone brought up the question of what the recent success of Top Gun Maverick. What other 80s movies do you think that never got a sequel would be prime for a sequel? Like that with the success of Top Gun 2. Obviously, we've seen movies that never got a sequel, finally get a sequel. Unbreakable, To Glass, Independence Day Resurgence. Obviously, the sequels were not as good, nowhere near as good as the original. Luckily, Top Gun 2 might be that once-in-a-lifetime movie that actually works even better than the original. So I said, instead of just looking at only the 80s, because I did, even though I was born in 89, I said, let's look at some 80s movies, but let's look at some 90s movies that we've had one movie for, but never had a sequel for. So, I have a list here of 80s and 90s movies that I feel like we should get a sequel for, and wonder why we never got one. Starting with number one, an 80s movie, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'm surprised this movie never got a sequel. Robert Zemeckis, the director, did Back to the Future, all three Back to the Future movies. Never came back and did a sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I think at one point they were going to do a sequel, but and then they had some rights issues with Disney. And then of course the late Bob Hoskins passed away. I don't know how many years ago. I think they can still do a sequel they can just have Roger Rabbit, have a new detective agent, and just do another, solving a crime. I think after the recent success of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus, the whole time I was watching that movie, I was like, why haven't they made a sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit? And I think now with the success of Chip and Dale, now would be a perfect time. The next one on my list is one of Steven Spielberg's best movies. Here's another director that has done sequels, and that would be E.T. Terrestrial. E.T. is one of the most beloved movies of the 80s, the most beloved Spielberg movies of his whole career. Every time you hear that music, you just think about E.T. I'll be right here. Then we had that commercial a couple of years ago. Can't remember if it was during the Super Bowl or it was for the holidays, where they had Henry Thomas return as Elliot, an adult, and they had E.T. I think it was a Christmas commercial because they had a Christmas tree in the background. But that got a lot of people going, whoa, why haven't they made another E.T.? Henry Thomas is doing more work now than he's ever done before. He does a lot of work with Mike Flanagan, The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, Ouija, Origin of Evil. He's going to be in the new Mike Flanagan Netflix show, Fall at the House of Usher. So he's been doing a lot of stuff. Then you add Drew Barrymore now, all grown up. I don't think people know that Drew Barrymore is Steven Spielberg is either her uncle or like a second cousin or first cousin, I don't know. Drew Barrymore is related to Steven Spielberg. Hence how she got the role in the first place. So you can have Drew Barrymore return and have Henry Thomas and Drew Barrymore. And I don't know, E.T. comes back to Earth and I don't know, maybe Henry Thomas has kids, Elliot, and the kids come upon E.T. and, go from there. I don't know what type of story you can tell, but otherwise they never made another E.T. movie. Then we move on to the 90s a little bit here, and we got a James Cameron movie, James Cameron's not making all these damn Avatar movies. He's gonna have 4 Avatar movies. Why they never made... We wonder every day why he never made a True Lies sequel. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Arnold, and the late Bill Paxton. They were going to make a sequel in the early 2000s. I don't know if a lot of people knew this. In 2000, they were going to make a sequel, but then a year later, with September 11th, James Cameron said, nope, we're not doing it now. We just had a real-world terrorist attack. We're not going to do this movie now. Even though that always struck me as a little odd, because at that time, Arnold had another movie coming out, called Collateral Damage, where he's a firefighter and there's a terrorist attack in New York. They'd only delayed the movie a couple months, but they still released that movie. But True Lies is one movie that's one of his best movies. Action, Arnold is great, Jamie Lee Curtis is great, and I think for a sequel, you could easily have another terrorist attack. I mean, we had the show 24 for 10 years, and that was right after September 11th. That's all that show dealt with was terrorism. You have the daughter, Eliza Dushku, is all grown up now, and you can bring back her. Or you can just recast the daughter, Monica Barboa, we just saw in Top Gun. She's going to be working with Arnold anyhow in a Netflix series. And they had to recast. But bring back Arnold, bring back Jamie Lee Curtis. Have the daughter in there. Maybe the daughter follows in the parents' footsteps and becomes a spy. I don't know, but I think, and let's say James Cameron doesn't want to come back and direct. You got David Leitch, who did John Wick, Hobbs and Shaw, Deadpool 2. Or you go after Doug Liman. He did The Bourne Identity, Edge of Tomorrow, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a spy movie. I'm just surprised they never made a sequel to True Lies. It's probably James Cameron's one of his best movies, and the one that people don't talk about as much. Now, going into the 90s some more, now this movie hits my childhood. In the 90s we had a movie that defined each sport. For hockey, we had the Mighty Ducks. For football, we had the Little Giants. And for baseball, we had The Sandlot. The movie is a coming-of-age story set during the summer, the love of baseball. And I always say, why did they never make a sequel to this? Now, they've made direct-to-video movies, but they never got the cast back and did a sequel. I mean, you got the actor that plays Smalls, he's acts still. The guy, the redhead dude, I forget his name, he still acts. You bring back Dennis Leary, you bring back Karen Allen, you bring back James Earl Jones. I mean, you bring back Mary Shelton, who played Wendy Peppercorn, the lifeguard. She's still acting. She was in Scream 4 and Scream 5. That just came out this year. I would love to see a movie where they're all grown up, and obviously they're all grown up now. And maybe they have to come back to the town because a reunion, maybe a death of James Earl Jones' character, and they have to come out back to the field. Maybe a few of them stayed behind and stayed in the town. So now we see their kids grown up playing on the same baseball field that they played on. I don't know, I think we don't see that many of these movies anymore. Especially not baseball movies. So to make a long-awaited sequel to The Sandlot, I think would be perfect. Another 90s movie that we never got a sequel to, Galaxy Quest. This was one of the biggest surprises of '99 when it came out. Yeah, we had The Matrix that year. But Galaxy Quest is kind of a spoof on Star Trek, Star Wars. It was great. It's still one of the best kind of spoof movies they've ever made. If Tim Allen can come back as Santa Claus now, since 2006, we need to have another Galaxy Quest. Bring back Sigourney Weaver. Bring back Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell at the time was a nobody. Other than the Green Mile the same year, now he's an Academy Award winner. Tony Shalhoub. Heck, I even say Justin Long, who played the kid in that first movie. That was his first movie. Now he can be part of the crew, and me a member of the crew. Now Justin Long's a lot bigger actor than he was. I know they originally were going to make a sequel, but then when Alan Rickman passed away, they said, no, we can't do this movie without Alan Rickman. We've heard that before, like with Wes Craven. Oh, we can't do another Scream movie without Wes Craven. They're making more Scream movies now. I would love another Galaxy Quest. I'm surprised during the hype of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies with Chris Pine, they never made a sequel at that time. But that's what I really want to see a sequel to. Jingle All The Way, I know people might think I'm crazy. There was a time in 1997 where most people didn't know that there were a post-credit scene in movies. But the Jingle All The Way, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Jingle All The Way, has a post-credit scene at the end. I didn't realize that until years later, but the VHS copy has a post-credit scene. That post-credit scene is it's Christmas morning or Christmas night, and the wife, played by Rita Wilson, says to Arnold, Howard, you spent all this day shopping for Jamie, the little boy, aka Anakin Skywalker. And then she goes, and what did you get me? And then you see that look on Arnold's face like we saw earlier in the movie. Like, oh shit, I forgot my wife. Oh shit, what am I gonna do? And we never got that movie. Now I'm not saying they can actually do that again, almost 30 years later. But what they could do is set the movie now. Arnold is a grandfather, and his son Jamie is all grown up with his own child, and now Grandpa Arnold has to go out and find a toy for Jamie's son. And here's something even better. Now that Disney owns the rights to Jingle All The Way, because it was a 20th century film, I would love to see it in a little meta way. Well, Jamie's son wants a toy, but not any toy. A Marvel toy. A Marvel superhero. Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man. And now Arnold has to go run around and find a Marvel toy. One of the hottest toys ever, duh. Here, we got Jacob Batalon, dead. Peter Parker's best friend. Booster. Who wants Booster? I think that would be fun. I really do. Once again, Jingle All The Way is one of those bad but good movies that is very, very quotable. So I would love to see a sequel to Jingle All The Way. I know they made a direct-to-video one with Larry the Cable Guy, but no, I want Arnold back in Sinbad. Then here's another 90s movie that I still wonder why we never got a true sequel, and that is Jim Carrey's The Mask. This is another quotable movie. It's a fun movie, great movie. It was Cameron Diaz's first movie role. People might not know that story. She was going into a model, doing a model shoot, and an agent saw her walk by and said, "Who's that girl?" They brought her in and had her audition, and she got the role. Not surprising, she's hot. That's one of the only movies she's the hottest she's ever been, is in The Mask. But we never got a sequel. We got that. They made another direct-to-video sequel with Jamie Kennedy in like the early 2000s, but we never got a sequel. I would love it. Stanley Ipkiss, come on. Come on. Why haven't we gotten a sequel to this? We got Dumb and Dumber 2, which is horrible, but we never got a sequel. Smoking. You married her. Somebody stop me. It wasn't me. It was the one-armed man. I don't know why they never made a sequel to this. Especially right now with Jim Carrey back being his 90s Jim Carrey self in the last two Sonic movies. This would be the perfect time to make another Mask movie. You don't even have to bring back Cameron Diaz. She's in retirement. But if you were going to bring her out of retirement, she might return for another Mask movie. Another 90s movie, The Rocketeer. I went back and watched this last night. And it's funny because the night before I watched Captain America, The First Avenger. Side note, the director of Captain America, The First Avenger, same director that did The Rocketeer. The Captain America, The First Avenger was inspired by The Rocketeer. Because if you watch Captain America, The First Avenger, you see a lot of The Rocketeer. The 40s setting, World War II, Nazis, the wardrobe, even the way it's kind of shot is very... So the wardrobe on like Peggy Carter is just like Jennifer Connelly's character. And then there's a lot of similarities. And yes, Rocketeer was inspired by Indiana Jones, inspired The Rocketeer. The Rocketeer inspired not only Captain America the First Avenger, but Iron Man. I mean, you never see a lot of the Iron Man stuff, the Rocketeer stuff, and even the Iron Man movies. So, why they never made a sequel to The Rocketeer, which is a pretty good movie. It's fun, it's action-packed, it's, character development. I don't know, and especially now, 30 years later, you can make a Rocketeer movie. Apparently they're doing a reboot sequel with David Oyelowo. You heard that last year. We still haven't heard anything since. But I would rather than make a sequel, bring back Millie Campbell, who played the main character, bring back Jennifer Connelly. We just saw her in Top Gun 2. And instead, you can't make the movie now in today's world because they would be a lot older. But what you could do, if that one was set in the 40s, set this one like maybe in the 70s or 80s, during like, the Cold War with Russia, and you can do something with there. I think they can make an interesting, fun sequel with Millie Campbell returning, Jennifer Connelly returning. I mean, it can be done. Like, I don't know what their plans are for this reboot sequel. Maybe Millie Campbell and Jennifer Connelly are going to show up. But I think I'm surprised we never got a true sequel to The Rocketeer. The good movie. Now, they made a direct-to-video movie a couple years later, but they never made a sequel, and that's Casper. Starring Bill Pullman, Christina Ricci. Now, they made a direct-to-video called Wendy Meets Casper, or Casper Meets Wendy. It starred Hilary Duff. That was like her first movie role. I think it was a direct-to-video, so... But I'm surprised they never made a sequel to Casper. And I think now, in today's day and age, you make a great Casper movie. Bring back Bill Pullman. Bring back Christina Ricci. Maybe Christina Ricci's now Kat is an adult. She's a mom. She has her own kids. And something's happening and Casper returns. And, go from there. But I'm surprised they never made a sequel. It was a beloved 90s movie. Critically, financially. And I know they cost money to do all those effects with the ghosts. But in today's today, even though yes, it still costs money, but we have a lot better effects now that I would say bring back Bill Pullman, bring back Christina Ricci, and make a sequel to Casper. Who wouldn't like that? So those are some of my movies that I thought about. Are there others? People want a Labyrinth movie sequel. Jennifer Connelly return. There was talk about having Jared Leto do one, but we haven't heard anything about him returning to play him coming in to play the Goblin King since David Bowie's dead. People want a Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I actually heard an interesting one, Ferris Bueller's Year Off. And it's set during the pandemic, where most people weren't working, weren't doing anything. I can see the title work. I don't know if that story would work. A lot of people said the Breakfast Club. I think the Breakfast Club, you can make a remake of it in today's world. It'd be interesting what kind of group in today's world would make up the Breakfast Club. Especially in our political climate, in our woke climate. Who would be those people in detention on a Saturday? But I mean, like I said, there's probably a lot of other movies that you could probably say, we never got a sequel to that. But for right now, these are the 80s and 90s movies. I might wait a couple weeks and do 2000s and 2010s movies that we only got one movie for. I can think of two Angelina Jolie movies that we never got a sequel to. But what do you think? What movies on this list would you like to see a sequel to that we never got? We only got the one movie. Let me know in your comments.